Hello and welcome to today's video where we will be exploring a topic that may be uncomfortable to talk about but is a reality that we will all face one day, death. Specifically, we will be discussing what happens to our body when we die. While death is a natural process, it can be helpful to understand what happens to our body during this process. In this video, we will take a closer look at the changes that occur in the body after death, including cooling of the body, pooling of blood, stiffening of muscles, putrefaction, and skeletonization. By the end of this video, you will have a better understanding of what happens to our body when we die and how to better prepare for the inevitable. So, let's dive in. Death is a universal reality that all living beings must face. It is a natural process that occurs when the body can no longer sustain life. While death is a complex process that varies depending on the circumstances surrounding it, there are some general changes that occur in the body when we die. In this blog post, we will explore what happens to our body when we die. When we die, our heart stops beating, and our blood circulation ceases. Without oxygen, the cells in our body begin to die, and our body temperature drops. This process is known as rigor mortis, or the cooling of the body. The rate at which the body cools depends on several factors, including the temperature of the environment and the body's size and weight. Another change that occurs after death is known as rigor mortis or lividity. This process is the pooling of blood in the body's lowest parts, creating a purple or red discoloration. Rigor mortis can be used to determine the position of the body at the time of death. After death, the body also undergoes rigor mortis, which is the stiffening of the muscles. This process occurs because the cells in the body stop producing ATP, which is the energy source needed for muscles to contract and relax. Rigor mortis typically begins within 2 to 6 hours after death and lasts for several hours to several days, depending on the circumstances surrounding the death. As the body begins to decompose, it releases gases that cause it to bloat and swell. This process is known as putrefaction and typically begins a few days after death. During this process, the body's tissues break down, releasing strong odors and attracting insects and other scavengers. Finally, after several weeks or months, the body will eventually decompose entirely, leaving behind only bones. This process is known as skeletonization and occurs because the body's tissues have broken down completely. In conclusion, death is a natural process that occurs when the body can no longer sustain life. While the process of death is complex and varies depending on the circumstances surrounding it, there are some general changes that occur in the body when we die. These changes include cooling of the body, pooling of blood, stiffening of muscles, putrefaction, and skeletonization. Understanding what happens to our body when we die can help us better prepare for the inevitable and come to terms with the end of life.